Joining me now, my dear friend, Kellyanne Conway, former counselor to President Trump and a Fox News contributor who knows a thing or two about national presidential speeches. All right, Kellyanne, how did you do last night?
He was phenomenal because it's so important for the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, to look into the camera and address the people directly, unfiltered, undeterred from a media that constantly manipulates the numbers, what he's saying, the facts and figures. And Larry, often we hear from presidents in a moment of crisis. I think this president wanted to make sure he laid out the facts of his first term. When it comes to the border, we hardly talk about the border, Larry Kudlow, because they solved it so swiftly and so completely. They checked the box so early in this first term, but border security is economic security and national security and national sovereignty. It also has stemmed the flow of drugs. It also has stopped a lot of that child trafficking and the rest. So that's important. Look, I think the president's message last night is invest in America. He's investing in America. Reindustrialization, tariffs, trade deals. He's investing in America by getting all this foreign direct investment, $18 trillion and counting. Now we need to complete the sentence. And this is how that helps you with your household bills and everyday affordability, because it does. Look, jobs are coming back. Wages are rising. Interest rates for housing down a little bit, can still go down. I think today's CPI number, 2.7, beating that 3.1 expectation, is huge, and it will compel the Fed, particularly the new shadow Fed chair in January and the new Fed chair in May, compel them to keep cutting rates, Larry. If they're talking about a 2% inflation mandate, that's great, but sometimes we're looking at about 1.2 if you look at some of these numbers in President Trump. And also maximum employment. We have to explain to the country that well-paying jobs will continue to grow under this president, to say nothing of energy. Larry, the untold story of his first year is energy.
Energy.
We went from a war on fossil fuels, natural gas.
Energy.
This undergirds the economy. That is the untold story of his first term, energy.
It is going to knock down inflation even more. It is going to knock down interest rates even more. It's going to spur an increase in the economy with higher wages beating prices. Energy story. Drill, baby, drill. I actually thought he could have spent some more time on that. It's a tremendous, tremendous triumph in this whole story. Just, you know, the Federal Reserve is going to sit there, and you're going to have CPI reports that could be around 1%. You could have CPI where it's possible to show negative. Energy permeates hundreds of areas of the, I mean, I got a list here, but I won't because we have limited time. How about, though, a little bit? Aspirin, fertilizer, golf bags, golf balls, hearing aids, pajamas, pharmaceuticals, pantyhose, all right, all that stuff. Energy, petroleum affects it. Prices come down, interest rates come down, mortgages come down, housing comes up. And all those incentives to build factories, you heard him last night. He loves factories. So here's the thing, Kellyanne, did he convince the population in general that there is an economic boom coming next year? Did he convince them?
He gave us a lot to think about. And I think some of those key demographic groups that went for him a year ago because of they were so sick of the economic malaise under Biden-Harris, heard him and he's saying, wait a second, sometimes these things take hold. Now, the One Big Beautiful Bill, Larry, that was signed into law July 4th, 2025. A lot of those bennies are coming your way in 2026. And with Secretary Bessent and his team implementing that One Big Beautiful Bill, everyone already knows no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security. We got that. What people don't know, what they love in the polling, Larry, is when they hear 100% expensing and manufacturing facilities, factories, the corporate tax rate staying low under the OECD average. We don't get those corporate incursions. We are reindustrializing. And look, these things take time, but the president was making the case that, one, I said, they broke it, I'll fix it. He showed the great blue and red graph, prices up among Biden and then down among Trump. That's great. But you got to look, I think if 2025, Larry, was the year for doing hard things, 2026 must be the year that everybody communicates what's been done and how it impacts your pocketbook and your personal liberty issues.
He needs to make this speech.
He can do that.
He needs to make this speech really over and over, all right? He'll fill in the blanks, the numbers on wages and prices, which, you know, I love him using numbers. Reagan used numbers effectively, and the numbers are on his side. I'm just saying he can update this. Give the speech. Got State of the Union speech coming up. You see a lot of this stuff in there. And then over time, just keep doing it. People will hear it, and they will believe it. They will come to believe it. And I think they will because, factually, they will start seeing with their own eyes that things are getting better, that prices are leveling off and coming down, et cetera. And they take-home pay. He used that phrase, take-home pay. I love that. It's a Reagan-esque phrase. Take-home pay is going up.
And housing.
People are going to like that.
Larry, housing, I'm so glad he said he's going to tackle housing. And I know they're already working on this doggedly. This affects a lot of young folks. It affects a lot of Americans. But that is something that many young couples and individuals feel like is out of reach for them. So to the extent that the president could have a free market response to that, I think many people will be listening. Look, the Democrats did a clever thing last month. They made affordability about no data, AI data centers. AI is here, everybody. We're going to continue to do it. The president is investing in it. He believes it is the wave of the future. The First Lady has been involved. So I do think we need to figure out a way to help people understand that AI is a force for good, and the data centers in your area means that you're going to have access to all the jobs and the local economy being stimulated.
New jobs.
And then also adding power to the grid. New jobs.
New jobs.
Absolutely, new jobs.
High-paying new jobs. Very important. High-paying new jobs. Democrats they're on the wrong side of every single one of these issues. I've never seen a stupider strategy. I've been around so long, I cannot believe how stupid the Democrats are. Look, who's going to help him now? Kellyanne. He can't do it alone. He's got to get help from his running mate, from the cabinet, from the economic. They've got to do a better job communicating in 26 than they did in 25.
Larry, he's got a terrific cabinet. Lincoln had a cabinet of a team of rivals. Trump has a team of equals. And from the vice president to the secretaries on down to the staffers, people can articulate this and they ought to do it. But I want to send a message to our friends in Congress and the candidates who'd like to get there. You need to do this too. Everybody's always waiting on President Trump. You signed into law the One Big Beautiful Bill. You go and tell people what's in it. You go and tell them when they're going to realize these benefits when they file their tax, et cetera.
Right.
And Larry, look, the Democrats, their tools are insults and investigations. Republicans should use facts and figures.
Yes.
That's what they should remember every single time.
That's
but don't wait on Trump. Supplement what he's doing. He does need help.
I love the fact. Those charts, people saw them. Maybe they'll focus on them. Maybe they won't. I just love the fact he used it in his text. I love the fact that he knocked out a major speech in 19 minutes. I thought it was the most powerful thing I've ever seen.
The pot's boiling. Why not?
Right. He's a businessman. He's got things to do. I get it completely right. Kellyanne Conway, you are the best of the best. Thank you ever so much.
You are.
Merry Christmas if I don't see you.